Hey there, and welcome back to MetaNetTV. This is Jon, and today I've got SatoshiDoodles talking to me. Now, should I call you Satoshi?
No. You can call me Lena.
All right, Lena. It says SatoshiDoodles on the screen, so I think everyone should know you as that. Now,
Sure.
I should explain what you're doing for MetaNetTV. You're going to be contributing not as a writer, but as an illustrator. And anyone who's followed you on Twitter or any other kind of social media knows that that's your forte. That's what you do. You're an excellent cartoonist, and you're extremely good at explaining things visually. So,
Well, thank you, John. That's
no,
very kind of you to say.
no, you're extremely popular, and I would say even well loved on Twitter at least.
Oh, well, I mean, there's definitely it's my preference to express myself through art,
Hmm.
and I'm rather new to this video thing, so yeah.
Right, so am I actually. So don't worry about it.
Hopefully it doesn't get too awkward.
Nah, it's fine. I mean, after this, we'll let your drawings do all the talking. But yeah,
Okay, great.
tell me all about that. Like, how did you get into Bitcoin in the first place, and what made you decide to do Bitcoin cartoons or Bitcoin illustrations?
So I think maybe the shortest way I can explain it is
You
that
don't have to be short.
I felt um, it was recommended to me in November of 2017 that I consider signing up for an exchange uh, for obvious reasons if you had been following uh, Bitcoin at that time.
Hmm.
And I I decided that I needed to do some further research um, into the space because I was signing up to this exchange, and unfortunately, it was Quadriga CX under my real name with KYC. So I just needed to know solidly or as best as I could what was going on. So I did start to research
Hmm.
the space via Reddit and mainly Twitter, which sounds a bit ridiculous, and YouTube as well.
Not
But
ridiculous at all in crypto.
reading articles, watching videos, even of old conferences and conference talks,
Hmm.
and just learning about what was Bitcoin Cash at the time and Bitcoin. And through that, I fell down the rabbit hole that everyone falls down and uh, kind of got sucked in.
It sounds like
Um,
you've crammed the full range of like Bitcoin OG experiences into about 2 years. You signed up for an exchange that got hacked. You've watched conference videos. You've been on social media. I mean, there's nothing else to do really.
sure. But it is really difficult to ascertain what's actually going on from those sources.
Yeah,
And
I know.
you really need to just take everything you read and see with a huge grain of salt. I suppose I started uh, drawing more so to, I think, process the information that I was learning and just to process my experience in
Hmm.
learning about Bitcoin. And I noticed that there was a pretty huge gap in the space um, for non-toxic content and contributions.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I just decided to go for it and fill some of that gap.
Well, I mean, there's a huge gap in crypto in general for decent illustrations. Like most people can make a crappy meme, or there's some very average cartoons, but there's not very good ones.
Sure. Well, I mean, I don't want to disparage memes either because
Right.
they
Oh, I've
do
made a
get
few
across
myself.
very relevant
Yeah.
ideas and they're funny and they're beyond my comprehension at times.
Uh huh.
Not myself not being a millennial, and so I mean, there's that.
I'm
But
I'm far from being a
no,
millennial.
I think that I did see a lot of articles about Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash with a lot of futuristic looking Bitcoin physical coins and kind of the same editorial illustration type of content. And
let's say the real brutal, honest, and obvious point. Most of them are done by dudes. Sure. So you may be the only female illustrator working in the space. I can't be 100% sure on that, but you might be unique there.
Possibly. I think there are female designers working in Bitcoin, but maybe not doing exactly what I'm doing. And I mean, that's not to say that I feel like my art is adequate to get across the point, but I'm self-taught, and
really,
I've just spent the last few years figuring out illustration and social media and the internet. And
so you only got into that recently.
It came together at the right time.
That's fascinating. Most people I know who are illustrators have been doing it their whole life.
No, well, for myself, no. I've always loved to draw, though, so it's something I've been doing since I was small. Just the course of my life just somehow did not lead me directly to art and illustration.
It does happen that way. So I got to ask you, do you sit down and say, I'm going to do a new illustration, or do you are you reading the news and reading the information, and then you say, oh, that would make a good illustration? Which comes first?
Definitely the latter, I think. Although I have a whole pile of ideas that are constantly being added to the pile, and there's a lot of thinking time sometimes in between the actual shower thought or the time that I come across an idea and the turning it into a doodle.
Right. And what were you doing before Bitcoin?
A lot. So prior to becoming what you might call a Bitcoiner,
Yes, you are a Bitcoiner.
I've been busy raising kids for the past decade plus, and I've done a few other detours in terms of career. So I used to teach elementary school, among other things. A lot of community volunteering, things that stay-at-home moms tend to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you've been raising kids, you've probably got a good handle. I mean, you said you were an elementary school teacher too, which means that you've got that educational mind. So when you're sitting down to do something, you are thinking about how to transmit that information into someone who may not understand it completely at first.
Sure, I think there's an element of that, although teaching in real life is quite different from my current endeavors.
Right. And did you have previous experience, like doing work for online clients or selling your work online or anything like that?
So I did, in my learning illustration, I dipped my toe into freelancing, and I did sell some art online, designed some greeting cards, that kind of thing. So I think just in terms of informing my perspective on Bitcoin, just the act of selling things as a merchant online and experiencing various fees, whether through Square app or credit card fees, Etsy fees. It's it was good to just have that base level experience of attempting to be a merchant on the internet. And I think that in North America or first world countries, it's not so much of an issue, but I can imagine that those fees, as well as lack of access to banking, might be a huge issue for creative people in so-called developing economies and such.
Yeah, and I've spoken to a few people who would back you up on that 100% too.
Sure.
For me, it was PayPal. The only option to accept payments from other countries was PayPal, and I hate PayPal.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of payment processors, I wouldn't say that I hate PayPal. The last time I used them was because there was a knitting pattern that I wanted that was only available to buy by PayPal.
Right.
Under $5 the purchase was, but I thought that would be a perfect use case for Bitcoin.
Speaking of that,
small purchases like that on the internet.
Yeah. So do you have a store now where people can buy your work for Bitcoin?
I do not at the moment. If you see on my website that I have a page for a shop, but due to a little bit of indecision about how to accept payment through cryptocurrency, and also due to procrastination, the shop is not live yet.
Oh, okay. We'll get on to that.
Okay.
Seize that opportunity.
I've been asked to mainly make a book, so that's definitely on my.
Oh, okay. A printed book.
Yes.
You should get onto that too. I mean, I haven't bought a printed book in quite a while, but I think it'd make a great coffee table book that people would actually read, at least.
Sure. If there's a market for it, I believe I will make it happen.
There's a market for it, trust me.
In the next 18 months or sooner.
Yeah. But I mean, even further into other things like T-shirts or cushions or anything that you could print it on.
Sure. I mean, I appreciate all of the suggestions and requests, and I really should get on that. I just feel that at this point in time, well, I guess I just need to not make excuses. But in between chauffeuring my kids and making meals and Bitcoin research, the list just gets longer.
Yeah, I totally understand. I'd be doing all that myself, except like I'm actually not allowed to cook meals for our son, only on special occasions, just because my wife knows what he would get if I did. So I get an out that way.
That's okay for you then.
All right, so onto the MetaNetTV stuff, and like because this is the MetaNetTV producers or contributors series, I got to ask you, how do you see the MetaNet as an opportunity for people who do your kind of work and other businesses as well?
That's a pretty big question.
Yeah.
I think that the concept of the MetaNet is not yet clear or easily understood, I think, since we seem to just be at the beginning of apps or use cases being built out. So it's a little foggy at this point, but I'm hoping that as developers execute these ideas that people have, that it will become more clear. I mean, we can already see there's been a couple of apps like Streamanity for video creators, and this Audio Bee app for musicians who can upload their music and be paid directly peer-to-peer. That I think there's a huge market for that.
Are you using Twitch?
Twitch?
Yeah.
Yes, I am interested to see where that little platform evolves. How it evolves.
Do you find it useful? Like, are you making money there, or is it just a curiosity at this stage? For me, it's just a curiosity, but I'm definitely interested in where it's all going.
Yes, it's really hard to judge when things are so new. I think I'm definitely earning little bits, but it's I haven't also added up how much I'm spending, so there's a balance.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's so easy to hit that money button.
Bitcoin artists at this point in time, I don't think are covering their cost of living through tips, but I'm definitely just curious to see how it works, and I'm getting value through, I think, having access to information from certain Twitchers some of whom may have left Twitter as their ideas are more of a signal than um, all of the noise that you are exposed to on Twitter,
Yeah.
trolling and fake accounts
Hmm.
and also ads.
Yeah. Automated
It's got
bot
a really
accounts.
clean, beautiful interface, and it's um, it's improving every week as a platform. They're adding new features every Wednesday, so it's kind of exciting to
Yeah.
be right in the beginning of that.
Just going back to what you said before about having kids and being a former teacher, do you see an opportunity to do any sort of child specific Bitcoin education? I was actually just asking Kurt about this a few minutes ago, so it's on my mind. And I also have a
Yeah,
young child, so I'm always trying to find ways to get him interested in Bitcoin, and like there's almost nothing around at the moment that would do that job.
I think it's a little early, um, just in terms of Bitcoin education for adults. Most, I think that there's a huge misunderstanding of what Bitcoin is, even,
Yeah.
and obviously controversy between the BTC, BCH, BSV camps. So it's quite contentious. And in terms of kids, I think I would definitely be interested in the future, but it would not be my priority right now.
Hmm.
I think we try to reach adults first um, in terms of opening minds. And it, it's quite funny because my youngest came home one day telling me that his very excellent substitute teacher was talking about Bitcoin that day, and
Oh.
he, he was very uninterested in mentioning that his mom was making Bitcoin art, but it was just quite funny to hear.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Topic of
I
the day
have
at school. The kids know about it,
right. That's interesting. Like
but not in terms of the specifics. Yeah.
oh, okay. Yeah, I know a few kids around here who are interested in it. They're all gamers, of course, and they think it's cool, but they're they really don't know much about it. So I think there's definitely a chance, to teach them if you can reach them. I think somewhere around age 10 is where kids get into this. Do you
Mm-hmm.
think that's a good age to aim for?
Honestly, I don't think the kids will be interested unless there's some sort of direct utility
Yeah.
to their immediate lives. Like if they could buy V-Bucks with Bitcoin SV, then that would perk my kids' interest.
Yeah, I think it's got to involve
And
games of some kind at some stage.
sure.
All right then, Lena. Thank you very much for talking to us today. I don't want to take up any more of your time. So, yeah, thanks, and I'll definitely see you around on MetaNet TV.
Okay, well, thank you for persisting, and thanks for your
It
time, Jon.
wasn't that much of an effort.
Thank you.